Hey, what's up? I'm Norris and welcome back to another sew along. Now today I'll be working on my Lady Simplicity pattern design, which is 3037, the sweatsuit. And today we'll be working on view B, the pants. Now if you're new to sewing, I just want to brush up on your skills a bit. Go visit our online sewing and design school, which is sewingacademy.com. Now once you go there, you can take advantage of our free trial, then come back and sew along with me. Now that we have all the important stuff out the way, we can begin order of construction. Okay, once again, like I said, we're working on my new Simplicity pattern, which is S3037. And we're working on view B, which are the baggy sweat pant. Now, if you turn to the back, once again, you have suggested fabrics, notions here for view A and for view B. And then once you look through small, medium, large, extra large, and double XL, you'll see the size range. Look at that, but also remember to go down to the finished garment measurements to see exactly what that measurement is going to measure at the chest, hips, and then also the length of the pant legs once you sew it up. So now you will be able to know what kind of adjustments you have to make, or if you want to go a size up or a size down. Just so you know, you'll need at least 1 3/4 yards of a 1/2 inch elastic, and then also you'll need a 1/2 inch drawstring tie as well. Now once we went through the important stuff on the back, let's go through all the pattern pieces we'll be needing for this particular project. Okay, so the first piece we have is pattern piece number 9, which is the front. You want to cut 2 of these out of fabric. Pattern piece number 11, this is the back. You want to cut 2 of these out of fabric. And then don't forget, the right side only, you have 2 markings for your back patch pocket. Okay, we have pattern piece number 10. This is the side front and pocket. You want to cut 2 of these out of your fabric. And then pattern piece number 12, this is the back pocket. And like I said, there's only 1 on the right side. You want to cut 1. But if you want 1 on both sides, cut 2 and then make sure you transfer your markings to the other left side of your back. Pattern piece number 13, this is your front casing. You want to cut 1 on the fold as you see right here. And then you have a marking for your buttonhole to put in your drawstring. And then pattern piece number 14, this is your back casing. The fold is right here. And also on the front and the back, you want to make sure you transfer all of your dots right here for your particular size. And then don't forget to transfer your stitching lines. Okay, last but not least, we have pattern piece number 15. Now this is your guide for your elastic. And you don't need to cut anything out of this. You just want to get your elastic and measure it from end to end to let you know basically a guide on how long your elastic should be for this size. And then you want to cut 2 of your 1/2 inch elastic. Okay, so once you cut all of your pattern pieces out of fabric, we can begin order of construction. All right, first things first, you want to grab one of your front pieces. As you can see, you have that slant right here, and it's not as wide at the top like the back piece. That's how you can tell the difference. And then now you just want to take your side and pocket with that slanted side here. You're going to right size facing and match it up with the side of the front piece, and then pin. Should be a notch right here, and we're just going to stitch across all the way to the end, keeping that 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so we're back from the machine. I'm gonna go ahead and trim this down to at least 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so now we're just going to turn it wrong sides touching like this. Make sure you press that seam allowance out to the edge. And we're just gonna give this a really good press. And then we're gonna head over to the machine and top stitch from the top to the side seam here using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. As you can see, we gave it a good press. And then now we're going to top stitch, like I said, a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so once you top stitch, it should look just like this. And then now what we're going to do is I'm going to turn it where the pocket is facing up. And there should be 2 notches here and 2 notches here at the bottom of the pocket bag. So once you turn it right sides facing onto itself, you want to match up those notches And I also made a notch for that center fold. Press there. And then also I did a center fold notch up top just so I know it's all the way even, all the way down. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue pinning along the curve here. Okay, so head over to the machine. You're just going to do a straight stitch all the way around the curve, ending right here, using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, I'm back from the machine, as you can see, and I went ahead and finished off that seam with a serge. That's just to clean it up if you have a serger. If you don't, you can use a zigzag stitch or peeking shears. So I'm gonna flip it with the right side is facing up. Now there should be a dot that you should have. My dot is on the back side, so I have it sitting right up against that dot. And I'm just going to pin across the top. You're just going to go over to the machine and just do a basting stitch just to hold that in place onto the front piece. And then once you do this one, you want to do your other front pocket to your other front the same exact way. And then now we're just going to go ahead and prep our back pocket to put on our back piece. Okay, now we're working on our back patch pocket. Now, like I said, you can make 2 of these if you want one on both sides, but if you're just doing the one, it goes on the right side. Or if you have a preference for it to be on the left side, you're more than welcome to put it on the left side. So before we get going, I have an option for you. If you look at the instructions, it'll tell you to turn under 1/4 of an inch before you fold back, basically like this, to have that edge caught on the inside. But if you're using a thick fabric like I am, I just went ahead and serged across the top. So when I fold back, that raw edge is clean and it don't have to be tucked in on the inside. Okay, so once you figure out what you want to do there, whether you tuck in 1/4 inch and folding it back or just leaving it with the serge in, you want to fold that back where your fold line is and then pin on both sides. Okay, so now we're just going to head to the machine. We're just going to stitch here using 5/8 of an inch and then also here. And then we're going to come trim the corners and turn the right side out. Also, before we move on, I just want to let you know I did 2 rows of basting stitches. I back stitched at the beginning on both, but not at the end. And then just pulled the strings so I can have something to pull later. And this right here is just to gather in that curve because it's such a curve here. Gathering it is going to make it easier to form that curve and have that press edge really sharp. Okay, so let's go ahead and stitch here, come back, and we'll continue. And now you want to stitch the other side the same exact way. Okay, so back from the machine, I'm just going to go ahead and just trim into that corner a little bit, and then just a little bit on this. Now I'll grab my point turner, point that corner out, and then that's how it should look. Okay, so now, all right, once we get at a good press, you can see it's gonna lay flat, and then we're gonna top stitch on this side here to catch that edge on this side. So like I said right here at the bottom, I did 2 rows of basting stitches, and we're just going to gather. So let me turn it around this side first. So I'm just going to pull just a little bit until it starts forming a curve and distribute that gather. So when I take it to my pressing station, I'd have a better chance of it pressing really flat and getting a really nice curve like this. Okay. So head over to your pressing station, make sure you press 5/8 of an inch along here, around that corner, and then the bottom, and then the other curve, and then up the other side. Okay, I'm fresh from the pressing station, and as you can see, after I pressed it with that gather, I have a clean pressed curve here. And now we're just gonna go ahead and top stitch, catching that end on the other side. Okay, we're fresh from the machine and also the pressing station. So this is how it looks when you press it. Now we're just going to turn it right side up, and there should be 2 markings. I have 2 blue dots there, and I'm going ahead and position my pocket nice and flat. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put pins around here and not the front because we need access in the pocket. Okay, we're going to head to the machine. We're first going to add stitch all the way around, going up to the other side, and then we're going to top stitch a 1/4 inch away from that first stitch all the way around to the other side. Okay, now you want to continue top stitching 1 more row a 1/4 inch away from this first stitch, the same exact way. Okay, so we're back from the machine. As you can see, we have our 2 rows of top stitching, and we have that patch pocket in place. And then now what you want to do is you want to grab one of your front pieces, and we're right sides facing. We're going to match up that inside seam, and we're going to pin. Now you can head to the machine and stitch this down using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, but I like to do my outside seam as well. I'm gonna go ahead and knock them out at the same time. So I'm gonna pin the outside seam, matching up your markings. Okay, so let's head to the machine, stitch down your outside seam using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then the same thing to the inside seam all the way down using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now you want to stitch your outside seam the same exact way. Okay, I'm back from the machine. I went ahead and cleaned off my inside seam with a serge as well as the outside seam with a serge. And I'm going to keep one of them wrong side out. As you can see, this is the wrong side. And then this right here is the right side. Now, once you do one, you want to do the same exact thing to the other front and other back. Now, the one that's right side out, you want to stick it in the pant leg of the other one. Okay, now once you get in there really good, you want to match up the crotch seam. Okay, so get that crotch seam, match them up, and then we're going to pin. There should be 2 notches indicating that front. And then for the back, there should be 3 notches. All right, so now just head to the machine. This is super simple. Do a straight stitch all the way across through the crotch and up the other side using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Do that, come back, and we'll continue. Okay, so we're back from the machine. As you can see, I went ahead and cleaned off the seam here with a serge, and then once you take it out, you'll see the pants taking shape just like that. And then now you can press that seam allowance in that center to one side. I usually press it to the left, which is on the right here. And then now we're gonna go ahead and work on our waistband. Okay, so now we have our back waistband. This is our front waistband. And as you can see, I went ahead and put my buttonholes where the markings were. And then I flip it to the back. I have two little pieces of interfacing just to make it a little bit more stable where those buttonholes are going. So now we're right sides facing. I'm going to place them right sides facing, matching up the dots. Now there should be 4 dots, 2 right here and 2 right here. We're going to be stitching, leaving the in-between of the dots open. So let me go ahead and just pin real quick. So I went ahead and made the dots a little bit more prominent so you can see it. So we're going to start on the edge and stitch to the dot, back stitch, cut your threads, skip over to the other dot, and then stitch until we get to this dot here. Back stitch, cut your threads, then we're going to skip over to the next dot and stitch all the way to the edge. And then on the other side, we're just going to stitch all the way across. So let me just go ahead and put a couple of pins over here. Let's head to the machine. Okay, so I made it to that dot. I'm going to skip over to that other dot. Okay, so I went from here to here, and now I'm about to skip over this last dot and go all the way to the end. Just like that. And then now on the other side, you just want to stitch all the way across using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so we're back from the machine. I went ahead and pressed both side seams of the waistband open. And if you look, you'll see the little holes where we skipped over. And then now we're right sides facing. One last thing before we continue. The opposite end of the notch edge, this side here, you should press under a 1/2 inch, okay, all the way around. So now the top is going to be connected to the top of the pants. So let's go ahead and slide the pants inside, and I'm going to go ahead and start pinning the side seam. There should be 2 notches in the front for placement. Okay, so now we're just going to head to the machine and we're going to stitch all the way around here using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so we're back from the machine, and as you can see, went ahead and stitched all the way around, and now we're just going to trim this off a bit. Trim it down to about 3/8 of an inch. Continue trimming all the way around till you get to the other end. Okay, moving right along, I went ahead and pressed that seam up towards the band. So this end up here, we're going to keep it tucked under that 1/2 inch. And then now we're going to turn under, bringing this fold here to where that inside seam is. So I'm gonna show you a better angle of this one laying down. So that press edge here, we're gonna take it and put it just right there past where that seam is. Now this is going to form the band here. So on the other end, you want to go ahead and just pin. Okay, we're gonna pin it just like that. And as you can see, it's catching the other end here. I'm going to do both my side seams first and then work my way around. Okay, so now that I have it pinned, we're not going to stitch in the ditch, which is stitching right in the center of the seam. We're going to edge stitch on the waistband side. So we're going to edge stitch on this side, on the waistband side, very close to that seam all the way around to catch the fold underneath. If you need to mark your stitching lines, once you fold this in half, this is the band, and you can place this up here to figure out where your other stitching lines are going to be all the way around. Okay, so after you do your edge stitch, you want to do your stitching line on your waistband the exact same way. Okay, so now you're going to continue edge stitching all the way around, and then also do your 2 rows from your stitching line. Okay, so we're back from the machine. I did an edge stitch down here, which closed off the bottom of the waistband. And then also I did my 2 rows of stitching here where my stitching lines are. So now I'm going to go into one of the openings, as you can see right here, with my 1/2 inch, and I have a safety pin. All I did was just push that in, close off the top, and then now we're just going to make our way all the way around. Okay, you want to make it out the other end. Make sure it's not twisted or anything like that. Okay, now we're just going to head up to the machine, cross them, and then do a little zigzag or straight stitch back and forth. And then you want to do your other elastic the same exact way through the opening here at the bottom. Okay, so we have both elastics in. You just want to make sure you evenly distribute the elastic all the way around. And then the last thing to do is to insert the drawstring. Now you want to go ahead and do it the same exact way. Get you a safety pin. And instead of going through a hole, because we don't have a hole here, we just had the 2 for the elastic, you just want to go from buttonhole to buttonhole. So just go ahead and insert that there. And once you get it in, you want to do it the same exact way all the way around until you come through the other buttonhole. Okay, so once you go ahead and move your drawstring all the way around, the last thing you have to do is just hand stitch these openings here on the inside of that waistband, and you're all done. Now, don't forget that these are meant to be raw edge. You don't have to hem them. There's a nice wide leg. Baggy is in. So enjoy these sweatpants. And once again, you're all done. All right, congratulations, you're all done. Now, I hope you enjoyed this so long, and be sure to tag me across all socials at Norris Danta Forward, and I will see you in the next so long.